The rain poured hard against the city lights when he came home that night, his suit damp, his eyes cold, the echo of another argument still ringing in his head. She sat by the window, her hands trembling, as she folded the same letter for the 5th time, her wedding ring glinting under the pale glow of the lamp. They had built their marriage on polished smiles and careful silence, two people bound by secrets pretending love was something they still understood. He had built empires from nothing. She had built walls around her heart from everything he had hidden. They were perfect in the eyes of the world, and broken behind closed doors. He walked in without a word and dropped his keys on the counter. She didn't look up. He said quietly, "You're leaving, aren't you?" Her voice cracked. "I already did, I just haven't walked out the door yet." He froze, the words slicing through the air. "What does that mean?" She stood, her voice trembling. "It means I'm done pretending that your lies don't hurt, that your late nights are just business, that your eyes don't look past me every time you speak to me." He looked away, jaw tight. "I did what I had to do for us," she whispered. "Then tell me one thing you did for me, not for your name, not for your company, for me." The silence that followed was louder than thunder. He didn't answer because there was no answer to give. She slipped the folded letter onto the table and walked past him, her perfume fading like memory. He turned as if to stop her, but his pride held him frozen until the sound of the door closing felt like the end of everything he had ever built. The house felt different without her, the quiet too heavy, the air too still. He stood in the doorway, staring at the letter lying on the table, untouched, like a wound waiting to bleed. His hands shook as he reached for it, her handwriting soft, careful, familiar. He unfolded it slowly and began to read. "You always said love was a distraction, but I think you meant fear. You were afraid of needing someone, so you turned everything into a transaction. You gave me a life full of things but empty of moments. You built a castle but never came home to it." He sank into a chair, the words cutting deeper with every line. "I waited," she wrote, "not for apologies, just for truth. For the man who once looked at me like I was enough before success, before the lies. I would have forgiven everything if you had just told me the truth. But now I'm leaving, not to punish you, but to remember who I was before you forgot me." By the time he reached the end, the paper was blurred by tears he hadn't realized had fallen. He pressed the letter to his chest, whispering her name into the silence that no longer answered. He thought he could live without love, but now every room felt like an empty echo of her laughter, every success like a monument to everything he'd lost. He went to their room, the scent of her still there, the half-empty closet, the pillow she always used. He sat on the floor beside, the bedhead in his hands, whispering, "I lied to protect us, but all I did was destroy us." And for the first time in his life, the man who never broke for anyone finally shattered for her. He didn't sleep that night, not even for a second. The letter sat beside him as he scrolled through his memories, each one a flash of her face, her laughter, the quiet way she used to fix his tie before every meeting. He realized he didn't even know where she'd go, because in his world, she'd never been free to have one of her own by morning. He was on the road chasing ghosts. He went first to her favorite cafe, the one she always said smelled like hope. The owner smiled sadly when he asked if she'd been there. She came by last night, ordered tea, left crying. He clenched his jaw, fighting the ache spreading through his chest, and kept going. He found her at the train station, sitting alone, her bag beside her, her wedding ring gone. The sight of her nearly knocked the air out of him. He walked up quietly, stopping just a step away. She didn't look surprised, just tired. "You shouldn't be here," he whispered. "You left me without a word." She looked up, eyes red. "You had years to listen." "I ran out of words." He knelt down beside her, rain dripping from his coat, his voice cracking. "I read your letter. I know I hurt you, but you have to know the lies weren't about betrayal. They were about fear. Fear of losing control, of needing someone so much it scared me." She looked away, her hands trembling. "Then you should have been honest about being scared, not about being heartless." He took her hand gently. She didn't pull away. "I don't care about control anymore. I just care if there's still a way back to you." Her breath caught, and for a moment, she looked at him like she almost believed him. The train hissed in the distance. its lights cutting through the rain. She still hadn't let go of his hand, but she hadn't held it either. The sound of it grew louder, the weight of goodbye hanging heavy between them. She turned her face toward the window, her voice quiet. "You said the lies weren't about betrayal. Then tell me the truth now. What were you hiding from me?" He swallowed hard, his throat raw. "I was losing everything before I met you. The company was bleeding. I married you to save it, your family's name, your stability, my future. It was all numbers, and I told myself it would never touch my heart. But it did. And that terrified me." Her lips trembled. "So I was a calculation." He shook, his head desperate. "No, you were the mistake that became the only right thing I ever did." She stared at him for a long time, her eyes searching his face for the man she once believed in. Her voice cracked. "I would have forgiven the truth. I would have fought with you if you'd let me," he whispered. "I know I see that now, and I would burn it all down just to start over clean." The train doors opened. Passengers hurried past them, the world moving while their moment stood still. She took a step back, rain streaking down her cheeks. "I can't keep loving a ghost of who you promised to become." He nodded, pain sharp in his chest. "Then let me prove I'm not a ghost anymore." He reached into his coat and pulled out a folded envelope, placing it in her hand, her brows furrowed. "What's this?" he said softly. "The resignation letter from the company, everything I ever built gone. I'm free now, not rich, not powerful, just real." She looked at it then, at him, her heart breaking and healing all at once as the train doors began to close. She stood frozen, the letter trembling in her hands, the sound of the train blending with her heartbeat. The man she'd loved and lost was standing in front of her, stripped of everything but truth, his eyes raw, his voice quiet. "You asked me once what I ever did for you. This is it. I finally chose you over the world." Tears spilled down her cheeks, the kind that didn't hurt anymore, just released years of pain. She whispered, "You really walked away from it all." He nodded. "I had everything but peace, and somehow you were the only place I ever found it." The train doors began to shut, and she had seconds to choose between the life she'd built alone or the love she had once buried. She took one step back then, another, and for a moment his heart broke all over again. But then she turned suddenly, the letter still in her hand, running through the rain straight into his arms. He caught her the breath, leaving both their lungs, as she whispered against his chest, "I don't want the life you gave up. I just want the man who finally stopped pretending." He held her tighter, voice trembling. "Then you'll never have to watch me pretend again." The train rolled away, empty and quiet, as they stood in the downpour, the city lights blurring around them, two souls finally stripped of lies and left only with love. And as the storm softened into morning, she lifted her face to him, eyes shining with new beginning, and whispered softly, "Sometimes goodbye is what love needs to come home." If this story moved you, share it, so others never forget that one selfless act can rewrite a destiny in ways no one sees coming.